How's it going, everyone? Texas Man here. Hope that you guys all having a spectacular day. If you guys would please give this video a thumbs up. If you guys do enjoy it, subscribe, of course. If you guys have not already, also do me the biggest favor of all. Make sure you guys hit that bell notification button. Select all for all notifications so you guys don't miss out on a single video here on the channel. I also stream on Twitch at Douglas447 at least once a week. That takes place normally on Tuesdays and Fridays. And of course, if you guys have any movies, shows, or games you guys want me to cover here on the channel, please let me know in the comment section down below. We're going to continue and talk about Star Wars. If you guys have missed out on anything Star Wars film related, I do have a Star Wars film collection playlist here on the channel that I have created. So I've already done a review of episodes 7, 8, and 9, and I've already done a review of the prequels for episode 1, 2, and 3. So we're going to be kicking off and hopefully concluding very soon the Star Wars films. So we're going to be doing A New Hope today, and then next will be Empire Strikes Back, and of course Return of the Jedi. I do not plan to do a review of Rogue One or Solo, a Star Wars story. If you guys want me to, please let me know in the comments down below, and I will consider it. Star Wars A New Hope came out in 1977. It's about 2 hours long, and it is the epic film that kick-started the Star Wars franchise as we know it today. It has an amazing cast, including the likes of Mark Hamill as Luke Skywalker, Harrison Ford as Han Solo, Carrie Fisher, R.I.P., as Leia, Alec Guinness, Kenny Baker, Anthony Daniels, David Prowse, I'm sorry if I'm saying the name wrong, and of course many more in the very first Star Wars film that George Lucas made and kickstarted this epic sci-fi franchise that, while it has had its ups and downs, still remains very popular for 99% of people. And it is a very memorable franchise, even though this film series has been out for 40 plus years later. I'm going to tell you guys a little personal story of kind of why I got invested into Star Wars. Not just because of the characters and the world and the lore and the awesome battles and all that stuff, but it was a film series, especially with the original trilogy, that I just rewatched constantly because that's all I really had when I was growing up was Star Wars and Jurassic Park when it came to movies. And when it came to films, I grew up during the 90s, so I experienced VHS tapes. Okay, I still know what a yeah. I'm old enough to know what a VCR is and how you either had to, rewind the tape basically inside of your VCR or buy a separate device. So anytime back then when I was younger and I wanted to do a Star Wars marathon of watching New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, or Return of the Jedi, we would watch New Hope, take it out, put it into the separate VCR device, and rewind that movie, watch Empire Strikes Back, and then swap them out. And then while Empire Strikes Back is, being, twisted back and reloaded to be at the start to rewatch again, we would watch Return of the Jedi. Also, we would always make it kind of like an event during the weekend. Like we would watch A New Hope Friday night, then we would watch Empire Strikes Back Saturday, and Return of the Jedi on Sunday. So we kind of make it like a Lord of the Rings kind of event that people do nowadays. But back then it was a lot more technically challenging. I also have this really weird memory that when I was in my teen years, that my grandma would come over, and I didn't know why, but we would order pizza and pop, and for whatever reason, every time I would go to get my cup would be like half empty or something. And I found out my grandma was drinking my pop. And then my mom started doing it. And so there's just a lot of fun memories that I have of watching the original trilogy. Not just because they're good films, but because of me having a good time watching them with my friends and family when I was younger and experiencing the original versions of the original trilogy before they got this updated stuff that we have now with DVD and Blu-ray and 4K and these new additions to help, match the actors properly. Kind of like with the Emperor Palpatine hologram thingy in Empire Strikes Back that got an update because of a different actor being in the prequels. So that was kind of interesting. But like I said, this film and this film trilogy, the original trilogy, just holds a special spot in my heart, and I think it does for a lot of other people. Which is why I think now, when you look back, and it's not been that long. It's only been like 5 years or so, 5 6 years since Rise of Skywalker. I don't think people are going to look back too fondly on the sequel trilogy. Now, a lot of people are like, well, because the sequel trilogy is so bad, now the prequels are just like god tier. They're gold. They're awesome. You must watch them. The prequel trilogy still has their flaws, and I've already talked about that individually for each film here on the channel for those flaws. Same thing with the sequels. I will still say, though, I think that the sequel trilogy didn't add anything new. Not really. It was basically a copy and paste job of the original trilogy, Disneyfied, thrown in with the message and wokeness and female empowerment and whatnot. So it's a worse version of the original trilogy. That's what the sequels are. Like, literally, watch A New Hope, watch Force Awakens, tell me that you're basically not watching the same film, but Force Awakens is way worse. New Hope has an excellent plot, and it's a very basic plot that I think a lot of people can relate to. It's about a young boy leaving home, and he gains knowledge and wisdom from his mentors. Obviously, Han Solo, so he can fly and be kind of this smuggler gangster. He also has the mentor of Obi-Wan Kenobi for lightsaber training and to become a Jedi like his father. We also get, knowledge and wisdom from his enemies. He's learning that from, the Empire. He's gaining knowledge and wisdom from his friends and his possible love interest from Leia. And that helps shape him into a man. And when we get to the finale for that Death Star trench run, we have a man, and his aim is to destroy this evil empire and its super weapon, the Death Star, no matter the cost. Next thing I want to talk about when it comes to A New Hope, and I don't think a lot of people understand this, Darth Vader is not the villain in this movie. If you go back and rewatch A New Hope, like I did for this review, it'll click to you. Darth Vader is not the villain of the first Star Wars film that got released. Darth Vader is not the villain of A New Hope. Darth Vader, he's cool in design, he's cool in presence, and his audio is cool. And he is a villain. He is a bad guy in this film, but he's not the central villain. Darth Vader doesn't become the central villain until Empire Strikes Back. The villain in A New Hope is actually Grand Moff Tarkin. Now, let me explain as to why. If you go back and you rewatch the movie, Darth Vader is basically just a servant of evil. He's basically this dude in a suit with a lightsaber, and he's basically just telling everybody around him what the Emperor wants, why he wants it, when he wants it done, and you better do it or I'm going to force choke you and you're going to die. He's basically a general in this film. He's not a commander-in-chief. He's not this big evil threat that, we need to worry about so much. It's more Grand Moff Tarkin. He's the one that's ordering the executions. He's the one ordering, the Death Star needs to be hurry up and finished. He's also very prideful. Grand Moff Tarkin, he's prideful, he's arrogant, and he believes that the rebellion, while it does exist, isn't a gigantic threat to the Empire's security, and that the rebellion doesn't have the means to destroy the Death Star. And he's wanting to impress the Emperor. He wants to impress Emperor Palpatine so he can have favor with him and be like, hey, look at me, I can get stuff done, and your, apprentice dude here can't do anything. Like, Grand Moff Tarkin is the villain. He's the one that's, interrogating Princess Leia on the Death Star. He's the one making the military decisions to, move the Death Star into position to destroy Alderaan and to blow up the rebel secret base and whatnot. He's the one giving orders. Darth Vader, he's just kind of like along for the ride. He's just like, okay, I guess this is happening. He does do stuff. Like, he kills Obi-Wan Kenobi. He boards that rebel vessel at the beginning of the film. But he's not the main villain focus. He doesn't get that treatment until Empire Strikes Back. Last couple things I want to talk about is that upon rewatching this film, I forgot how not only funny C-3PO and R2-D2 are, but in this film, for like the first act, for first like 30 minutes or so, they're kind of like the main characters. And I kind of enjoyed that because you got to know these two characters well before they got integrated with the rest of the characters within the film. That is something that I don't think a lot of movies know how to do, is that while these two characters are comedy relief, they're also individuals. They have their own agendas, they have their own personalities, they have their own thoughts and opinions, they have their own goals, they have their own I don't like this and I do like this kind of thing. And they're also integral to not just A New Hope, but for the original trilogy going forward. They're useful. They're actually a part of the plot because we get to know them in A New Hope. Now, I will say that when the movie moves past the beginning part with C-3PO and R2-D2, it does turn into Luke Skywalker's story, and C-3PO and R2-D2 kind of get pushed to the side. And that happens with Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi as well. They become less integral to the plot, but they still are a major plot point that needs to be discussed, and they are interesting characters to see their journey go from not just A New Hope to Return of the Jedi, but it's cool to see them from Phantom Menace to Return of the Jedi and see how that story ends. That's really cool. So I'm happy about that. Last thing I want to talk about, the finale action battle scene, the Death Star trench run. Excellent. It is just an adrenaline rush. It's pure cinema. Like, there are times I will literally go and watch just that scene. I will literally go into my collection, get the Blu-ray of New Hope, skip straight to the Death Star trench run scene, and have a fun little 30-minute adrenaline rush. It is well shot, it's well choreographed. The practical effects for that scene alone are just so breathtaking. And it's mind-boggling what was able to be accomplished, not just in that scene, but for the entire film. For 1977, this film using practical effects was a massive undertaking. And the people, George Lucas and everyone under his umbrella, did a fantastic job with the practical effects in this film as well. And I have to applaud them. If you guys get a chance, go on to Disney Plus, and in the Star Wars collection, you can actually watch videos and film reels of people that are alive today that worked with George Lucas making the original trilogy. And you can see how they did certain things to trick the eye to make you think this really is happening and this world is believable. The little nitty gritty details, you can watch that stuff on Disney Plus. And it's really cool. It's a really cool behind the scenes thing of why it took so long to get these movies out and the painstaking sweat and tears that were poured into these films. And we just don't get that anymore. And I wish we would. Now everything is constant CGI, green screen, stunt doubles for everything. No one wants to take a risk, scrape some blood onto the concrete because they're making a cool film. Everything's got to be safe now. But back then, in 1977, we got Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope. And I'm giving it a 9.5 out of 10. Thank you guys for watching. Have an excellent day, and I'll see you guys all in the next video. May the Force be with you always.